Hi. Hello. So it is officially Libra season. It is officially autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. It is officially post autumnal equinox, which means, the days have been getting shorter since the summer solstice. But you can like really feel it now. So the coyote in reverse at the bottom. The whole deck is in reverse. One of these has reversals in it. So yeah. Going back to my roots in a way. The Magus and the Ebony Shield. This is interesting. Because the Magus are the Ebony Shield is the sanctum of treasures. And it's because the hand of the magician is so close to that Mercury. It's almost like universal Mercury is a sacred treasure given to the magus by an energy behind or aligned with that ebony shield. Interesting. So I've been semi-passively processing the last live, as I do. I don't necessarily consciously do it. It just like happens in the background, and every now and then it's like the tab will open up and I'll give it some like conscious thought and I'll go, I'll ponder a little bit. And then I guess the tab like minimizes again if the processing isn't complete. And I don't know if it ever necessarily is. I think I am going to put these cards upright while I talk. So, anyway, I was thinking about the whole like the trickster in me thing. And that was like playing in the back of my mind. And then for some reason yesterday, I thought about maybe it was inspired by the um, rapture apocalypse thing that I was not like the party was still happening. So I guess I wasn't that late to the party. I wasn't the latest to the party. Um, but I feel like by the time I knew about it, it was already like taken off. So that was supposed to happen yesterday. So maybe that's kind of why it was on my mind. But for some reason last night I thought about it, and it's almost like the reason why I leave certain things like open to interpretation is because A, I don't know everything. B, because I even if I did know more, I'm not necessarily interested in like because we're all different and because we all have our own journeys and things may resonate for us differently. It's like we can fill in our own gaps. We can color within the lines with whatever colors make sense for us, right? And so I don't know, but for some reason I was like, oh, it's kind of like with like parables and stuff, right? And the thing, because I don't know, my brain kept going after it was like parables. I was like, oh yeah, that's like true. Yeah, sure. Make me feel better about myself. Or not make me feel better about myself, but like a better way to communicate it, maybe. Um, Rather than just saying like the trickster in me. And the coyote is at the bottom of the deck. I'm using the SKT Revelations and Vitruvian's edition. Vitruvian edition is going to be for Virgo season, the season past. Revelations edition is going to be for Libra season, the current season. And I'm going to do like 3 cards from Virgo season, 3 cards for Libra season, and then is it 1 or 2 for like our introduction into Libra season, or one of the first things coming up in Libra season. And I feel like the heat just got like turned on. So yeah, it was like parables, right? Now the sweat lodge is there. Oh, lol. Right, and the thing about parables is, in the sharing of a parable, just like a tale, where there is meaning behind the words or where it all builds up to something, if we come to that conclusion on our own, it's almost like we get to shortcut to certain knowings by reaching those realizations and revelations through story rather than through life experience. You know what I mean? Like if life experience would teach us whatever lesson, but if we can listen to a parable, if we can listen to a story, if we can watch something, consume something in whatever way, and internally reach the same conclusion that we would have reached through real life experience, then it's like we glean the truth that's meant for us. And true, a lot of times, real life experience is a better teacher. Uh, Things tend to stick in a way that's different, in a way that's a little bit more tacky, like sticky. Yeah, things stick in a stickier way, like it's more pronounced because we actually lived through it rather than if like in the format of a different kind of consumption, like when we're engaged with it, we're engaged with it, and then when we separate ourselves, it kind of sort of goes away, goes to the back of the mind. So it's there to recall if we want it or if we need, but it's not necessarily the same as like as easily recallable as like an experience that we had that's imprinted itself on the body somewhere. And it's funny because yesterday, I feel like two is a fairly low number to establish a synchronistic threshold, but apparently that's the number now because it's like these are things that I like never hear about. And then all of a sudden, it may have been three, like two or three times yesterday within like an hour. I want to say, like, I came across things where it's like people say that certain traumas are held in like the hips. And I was like, okay. But when it comes to like imprints or things stored in the body, right? Not necessarily trauma, but like other things, it sticks in ways where if it's something that we consume, it may stick more like in the mind than in the body. And the mind is vast. Depending, right? There are some, again, it depends. So, anyway, it was that. And then, of course, like I felt like that was closer because if I or anyone, like if we watch something and let's say the creator of the thing intends for a certain value or moral to be not necessarily, it's like if someone wants to teach like empathy or kindness for other people, and so it's like I don't know, someone who's like nice to a bunch of people, or someone who goes through something rough and then someone is like nice to them, and it's like the feeling that we have for the character where their sort of like fortune turns around, like we internalize that as like, oh, like I want to give that feeling to other people, so I should be nice to others so that they can feel how I imagine this character felt, type of thing. And if you like tell someone what the moral is or tell someone the conclusion that they're supposed to arrive to, it doesn't necessarily work in the same ways. And we can see that in how it's like there are certain things that it's just like difficult, relatively. It's also relatively easy to instill things in people, right? Like you can tell someone like, oh, be charitable and kind and nice. And you can even have like your stories and your Saturday morning cartoons and other stuff. But in real life, it's like, does that translate? Or it won't be, it's almost like since it's not a conclusion that someone reached themselves, they won't get it. It's like if you use a calculator to solve all your math problems, then you maybe will never learn like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? So ultimately, it's a way for us to reach our own conclusions, almost in a like a number three catalytic type of way, though, because it is sort of like simplified. rather than the vast context of the entirety of our existence and experiences in life. It's semi localized, kind of. Anyway, so it's almost like, oh, that's how you can like get away with it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we still learn or we still reach whatever conclusion within ourselves. Oh, no fire is there. So I think I'm going to do this one first, and then I'll get to the SKTs. I was kind of going to do the SKT first, but I want to close out that last live. So in the last live where I looked for the Drowned King, the Siren, the Dolphin, and the Six of Swords. Ooh, the Destroyer. I think it was what, Summer and something else that came out. We saw it then at church, maybe. And after, again, I was processing in the back. I was like, oh, okay. So it came, I read it as a sort of underworld energy, but it was like yesterday at some point. I was like, oh, like that was that abyss. And it was around some point this summer, I'm pretty sure. There was the whole like the proximity of the abyss to the underworld and that like scorpionic energy. And that's why it was like you want to have a healthy amount of ego, because in the abyss, a healthy amount of ego will basically keep your consciousness from just dissolving. Um, Things, and again, I guess it was kind of like the not diffusion, dissolution, the dissolution of gas and water at pressure. It's like gas sort of dissolves more at pressure, and that's why people get the bends when they resurface too quickly or something like that, girl. It's like basically you don't get lost, or just like yourself doesn't get divided. And when we go, because the underworld is different than the abyss, and they serve different functions, but I don't even know if they would necessarily be entirely similar. Like the underworld would be a place of like where ego deaths happen that lead to eventual like ego rebirths. But the abyss is a place where I would imagine, and again, who am I but some guy, where it's like soul expansion, soul growth, and ego evolution takes place. Where it's not necessarily about destroying parts of the ego, although it can happen. It's more so about like gaining things. But again, like with its proximity to the underworld and a whole bunch of other stuff, it's like if an ego is like 75% air, it's like 75% empty or 75% ungrounded. Excuse me. If you try to build on top of that, depending on how much and where, it could collapse under itself, or it could devolve into a whole like other thing. And that's again basically, and so that even when I was looking at it, it kind of reminded me of, and I think the oyster did show itself. It reminded me of when the Drowned King came out, and it was like, ooh, Heart of the Sky and the Sun. I guess I'm still shuffling. Like the Drowned King came out one time with an oyster, and it was like all of those pearls of gold. They're just like floating in the ocean. The oysters are sitting on the ocean floor, basically open. And when, I guess that's how they sit. And when the gold falls into the oyster like a Venus flytrap, they kind of like clamp on top of it. And then we get an oyster somehow and break it open, and there's a chance. But the thing with like the Six of Swords and the dolphin and all of that energy, it's basically catching or accumulating free gold while it's still free, meaning like it's not attached to anything, it's not inside of an oyster or whatever. Um, it's like accumulating those before they get snatched up by oysters. And I think too, in a lot of the ways that like the mind works and the divine works in communication with the mind, again with the thing about like parables and stories, we could have, I guess you can call it a download, question mark, or be prompted in some way to sort of like realize certain things or to collect certain things. But again, it's like the interpretation of the thing is kind of up to us, right? And it almost makes me think of, I can't think of anything in particular, or I can't think of the thing that I'm trying to recall in particular, but it's somebody that was like, why do we say the moral of this story is one thing, where if you like actually pay attention to the story, it seems like the moral should be something else. And that moral, I mean, I guess there are morals that directly affect our morals, but it's more so like something useful that we get out of something that leads us to a certain truth that may or may not, but typically should resonate for us in some way of variable significance and importance, right? Cool. And that's why the siren was there. Oh, okay. And so the siren being there with that Six of Swords in the ocean trying to collect the free gold, it's like there are certain, like, some of the gold resonates deeply with us and are in some ways a part, question mark, of us. And like that's the thing about the abyss that's like in my mind and how I'm like rationalizing it, and I may be missing the mark. um, the thing about the abyss, again, that's different from the underworld, is that the underworld is more about like death, rebirth, redeath, and birthing again. But the abyss is connected to realms outside of time, right? And so there's like, it's something about the abyss where you can get things that, like, I guess it's hard to say that you're not connected to because you would be. But anyway, it's that stuff. And the siren is basically soul resonance that leads you to those things. The ego keeps, or like a healthy ego keeps your ego intact enough, basically, so that when you find the gold, it can be like built upon. And yeah, so magic at the bottom of the deck, number 33. I'm going to look before and after. Magic and rattle. Interesting. Before and after both soul retrieval and the mystical shaman. The mystical shaman because he's peering in the gold. Soul retrieval because it is so. It's like it is, but it isn't. But it is. I wouldn't necessarily say that what's in the abyss is akashic, because in my mind, the connotation of akashic is it's something that already is of the self or belongs to the self. But the thing about the abyss is that it's a space where we can venture beyond ourselves. And like when it comes to, again, my conceptualization, when it comes to certain like gifts, talents, powers, whatever, that are gifted, granted by the divine, it's almost like rather than delving the abyss for gold, it's like delivered and handed over or exchanged or whatever. All right. And yeah, now that, because again, it was like while the summer is easy, while in the season of summer it was easier. That's because now the days are getting darker. The weather in the northern hemisphere is getting like colder. It's going to start to get colder, but getting closer and closer to Halloween, New Year's, and stuff like that. It's like the influence of the underworld and that sort of segment of non-physical reality is getting stronger, and so it's harder to be purely on that like abyssal side rather than just like the straight up underworld. Okay, all right. I'll give it one more. Middle world, the drum, and lightning. If this is not what on, even though technically they were in, okay, I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be right back. But technically they were in the lower world before they made it to the middle world, right? But in the lower world is where the drums were blessed. Yeah, so it's basically like you are a celestial body. The abyss is all of space. If you are luminous, you are a star, but you don't necessarily have to be. Because planets have moons just like stars have planets. So a healthy sense of ego will make sure that like if you come across a planet, you won't be pulled out of your orbit and put into the orbit of something else. And that's basically like that kind of sort of fracturing, losing a sense of self. And yeah, so basically like things that are for you are pulled into your orbit and build up your solar system. And it could be like an extended solar system. So think like the difference between the planets between Earth and the sun. And then you have the rest of the inner planets. And then you have like the outer planets, right? So we get like Mercury, Venus, and then we get like Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and then on the way outside is Saturn, Uranus, and Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. No, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Sorry, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, plus all the way out there, right? And it may be building out more of an outer shell, and also I don't think it was in the same one. The whole like new atoms, right? No, because that was the Quicksilver and the gold. So, and that kind of built off of the gold in a way. Anyway, maybe that explains it a little better. Again, like in the underworld, that would be more of like the sun or like the inner planets, and the abyss is like farther out. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Excuse me. Looking for. Oh, interesting. What am I looking for? The mystical shaman and solar tribute. Mystical Shaman is in between the Medicine Wheel 35 and Standstill 52. There's Standstill again. And then Soul Retrieval is between the Child, number 7, and the Journey, number 29. 729. That is next week. I think there's an anime that we're getting into like the fall. The Witness and Earth are outside of that last one. Um, it's almost fall, so almost time for some new shows to come out. I was looking at the Crunchyroll lineup. Anyway, so around Soul Retrieval, and again, because like the Mystical Shaman is gazing into the gold, that's why I picked this one. And again, it's, I don't know, maybe it's just semantics, but to me, again, it feels different. And that is, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say it's the purpose or the point. The abyss is a completely like optional, like you don't have to go into the abyss. The underworld is something that we visit at least once in our lifetime, where things happen and maybe we go to a low place and we find our way out, or we just go through a significant enough transition and transformation that who like we used to be, yeah, that who we used to be won't be like who we are or whatever, right? Because the underworld is so closely connected to and associated with transformations and transitions, we go through those in life. But like, how many years of recorded history did people not know that like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are out there? You know what I mean? The planets that we can't see with the naked eye from Earth. So you could say like, well, what's the point? This is Patrick being Patrick. Mm. The Child and the Journey is an interesting combination, right? So you could say it's the maturation of the child rather than it's like the journey to finding one's inner child. It's once that inner child is found, then like what? How do they grow, evolve, change, adapt, um, almost like project themselves in the world, occupy space? Around the mystical shaman is the medicine wheel and the standstill. The standstill and the medicine wheel is an interesting combination because it's almost like holding your hand in the fire. And again, with the abyss, there is thematic in the visual of it. There's a thematic like pressure and a thematic absence of light because that far down, there is no, it's like that's the space that lights are born from or that light emerges from in a way that's different than the cycle of sunrise sunset of the underworld. Like the abyss is a place where things come into being basically, and not necessarily things that have already been and things that will be again. It's where the new stuff comes from. And again, we can live our whole lives, go thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, and new things just like don't emerge. Where it's the remix cycle of music, it's the sampling cycle of music, it's the, what do you call it? The re-releasing, the re where they like take an old movie and they like do it again, they bring it back for a new generation or to make more money. With the medicine wheel and the standstill, there's a feeling of like needing to sit long enough for something to take, for something to actually, number one, needing to sit still long enough for something to take. Two, needing to take something consistently enough that it builds up a certain threshold within the body. So cool. There you go. Yep. All right. Half. Oof. 31. That sounds like a lot. Also, I guess the quality looks decent. I'm like streaming from my phone today because the internet was doing weird stuff today, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel like bringing the stream back several times. So I was like, I'll just use my hotspot. It's fine. What do I call this? This. Sure. 0000. And then I'll say 35, 33 for Libra season. I don't think I've done it this way in a minute. I think I attempted to one time, but didn't go all the way through with it. Cool. Just a little bit of clarification, I guess. And yeah, I think it's possible, but yeah. Oh, look, there's magic again. And then I think it was today. Today I was like, oh, I get the imagery. Like it's like now I see it. Now I see it. Because at first I was like, because of I guess where my mind was when I went to sleep, I was in a certain mode of interpretation. And when I thought about it that way, I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. But now today, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And she's like, yeah, girl, duh. This is what you were looking for. I was like, oh, okay. 10 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups. Oof. The Dynasty and the Defector. Oof. This is for Virgo season. So, 3 cards to represent something that we should. Also, I was thinking about it because, right, I don't follow the astrology like I used to, and I don't necessarily come across as much information as I used to either. But I was reminded that the eclipse happened at the 29th degree of Virgo. And I know it's called the critical degree, and I don't know. To me, it's just whatever. But I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, if Virgo is the purifier, is the cleanser, the cleaner, at the 29th degree of Virgo, the thing is basically purified. Oh, also, because I was like, wait, Mars just entered Scorpio. Pluto is at the beginning of Aquarius. So that means that Pluto is squaring Mars. And then when I was like, oh, Pluto squaring Mars with the abyss versus like underworld, again, that carry through that energy, there was a conclusion that I had reached. There was something that I saw that I had synced id. And then now that I'm trying to recall it, I kind of lost it a little bit. But you could say, and they're in a square. I don't know. Could you say, I already timestamped this? It's fine. Maybe this is about Libra season. This is where we are now. If the sun just entered Libra season, then that would be a trine. So there's a trine between the sun and Libra and Scorpio are neighbors. A trine between the sun and Pluto. What is that? A semi-sextile? I think is 30 degrees. Anyway, it's fine. There was something there. I don't remember now. Something of an opportunity. It was like something of an opportunity. If we are basically, if if we've done work enough in the areas that is for us to do work in, we can be in the underworld or in the vicinity of underworld energy and not decompose or be affected by it. So it could be a way to stand in and express deeply held personal power while Pluto still being in Aquarius. Everything else in larger sort of turns and degrees are under is in like a period of reform and a sort of judgment, I guess. Because it's for some reason it's making me think of, again, like even at the pearly gates when whoever is reading the book of life, basically going through the life review. Even in Egyptian mythology, there's the weighing of the heart against the feather. In Greco-Roman mythology, you have the three judges of the underworld: Iacchus, Rhadamanthus, and Minos. And in different beliefs, there are judges, basically, when a soul is new to the underworld, where their life is weighed, and then their next destination is determined. And that's like one of the first things that happens, right? Anyway, yeah, Mars being the planet of personal power, with it being in the underworld, or with it being in Scorpio, depending on emotionally, mentally, energetically, spiritually, what we've done in that sector, rather than it being this whatever, it could be a place to stand in and express, right? That. And not necessarily with an element of force, because Scorpio isn't necessarily forceful. It's capable of being like covert, always. Um, that is so interesting. So the Stronghold of the Grail came out, which is the herald of, oh my gosh, of the purifying. Oops. And I was literally just talking about how if Virgo is about purification at the 29th degree, the thing would be basically purified. That came out. And then the Keeper, Spirit and Petition of Spirit, is the message that's held within this. But Stronghold of the Flame is right there. So messengers of fire and water. And then basically the Keeper is the fool who's gone through the entirety of the major arcana journey, learned what they needed to at every step of the way, and now they walk through the world differently. And this is associated with air, which is the vapor created between fire and water. And it rises. It's actually making me think of, I saw a video. What's it called? There's a word for it. Like, it's not superfluid properties. I saw a video within the past week or so of, it was like someone had, it was like liquid that was dropped in a pot, in a pan, liquid that was dropped in a pan, and it like stayed as a droplet, and it was like just roaming around. Excuse me. And basically, and so you would think, oh, like the pan is off, or there's like some super hydrophobic coating, so the water droplet stays together rather than it dispersing or whatever. But the pan was so hot that it was like this thin layer of water had basically instantly vaporized. And so the rest of the water droplet was sitting on top of that water vapor cushion. And if we're talking about Mars and Scorpio not being us just fighting our way out of the underworld, and it it definitely could be, because again, broader context, Pluto and Aquarius. Um, but if it's not that, again, it could be like we are solid enough that even in that environment, like we can still rise, we can still do whatever. There may be even things that we can do better because of the environment. In the dark, light shines brighter without necessarily having to try. Now, if you're talking about like shadows, then that's different. Right. And it's the keeper. Interesting. These aren't my three cards. Herald of the Purifying and Herald of the Awakening. And the bottom of the deck was the Ebony Shield Sanctum of Treasure. We saw it with the Magus. So again, when it comes to the Abyss, it's like getting a treasure, getting a sacred gift, not necessarily getting something that is within one's. You could say, I would imagine, as whatever is in the abyss that lies to be claimed, whatever gifts the divine bestows whenever they bestow them. It's like there is our Akashic record of who we've been and who we will be. But it's almost like an addition that makes it special or different. It's like it gets moved to a different section of the library. Almost like in the show, there's a show uh, in The Magicians, there's a library. And in the library, they have books on everything, including books on everyone's lives before they necessarily, before their life is over. I'm pretty sure. But when some, it's almost like when someone becomes a librarian, their book gets moved to the restricted section for whatever reason. It's kind of like that. Like it has the power to completely like shift. It's almost like if the book, if you visualize it as a book and the book is written in like black ink, then that gift, it's like the words after and maybe even before become this like golden, magical, luminous, maybe even like shifting text. And so the book gets moved to like a special section. So it's extra Akashic activity. Yeah, and again, we saw the Sanctum of Treasure with that Magus magician, and I was like, okay, so that's confirmation enough for me. Archangel of the Blind Seer, the Archangel of Mysteries, and the Necromancer, the Moon were the three cards that I put those back on top of. Interesting. All right. The Discerning One, the Contender, The title card, the discerning one, the initiate, the discerning one. Cool. All right. I'll give it one more. I'm going to cut it. All right. 3 cards. Oop. That represent Virgo season. It's back. Ooh. Stronghold of the Flame and the Necromancer. Herald of the Awakening and Gateway of Resurrection. It's interesting because this is Pisces. There was the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. So maybe in that lunar eclipse, something awakened. Not only well, it's an interesting combination because one is like awakening, the other one is okay. The other one is like resurrecting because this is Virgo season. I'm pretty sure in Virgo season, in the summer, in a larger context, especially, there was the angel of resurrection. We saw the angel of ruin in reverse, and also like the angel of the void came out, and that whole like to complete the star, the fire, air, grand trine star, where Sagittarius was temporarily occupied. And we did see that. Was it the part of? It was the part of. Was it the vertex? Maybe it was something that like moves. And because of that sort of energy of resurrection, there's something else that can be awakened. Interesting. The herald of the awakening. Is the herald the thing that announces the coming of another thing? Or is the herald just the messenger of the thing? An official messenger bringing news. I think I'm thinking harbinger. A person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Yeah, so I was thinking harbinger. Um, I don't know. Which comes first? Doesn't matter. I'm going to treat those as the first card since I didn't get all 3 at once. All right, second energy of Virgo season past to be cognizant of, aware of, or a thing that should have been completed. Should have been in quotes. Ooh, that was a smooth flip. Who is it? Stronghold of the Veil. What is up with all of these messengers? Apparently, Virgo season had like all the messengers, but maybe that again speaks to the whole energy of like the parable or the energy of the story. Like things happen, things play out in certain ways, and it's up to us to discern what is whatever important, pertinent. Herald of the Darkening. Oof. Well, I feel that also kind of sort of happened in Virgo season, especially towards the end. I'm not gonna lie. The energy here, I'm gonna put it face down. Actually, I'm gonna wait until I do the Libra season to see if it's connected. Last energy. Ooh, it's 3 of them this time. Oh, wow. We have Wheel of Life, 4 of them. Wheel of Life, the Sphinx, Destiny Turning, the Bereaved, 3 of Swords, the Magus, Divinity and Man, Powers of Spirit, and New World Order, Crown of the Magi. The Magus and the Crown of the Magi. It's kind of crazy. And then also again, destiny turning with the Three of Swords. Again, especially coming off of the Herald of the Darkening, destiny turning, Wheel of Fortune, Three of Swords energy. Some people may be feeling like history is repeating itself. Some people may think or feel that the history that's repeating itself is the self same history where it was like, this will never happen again. I don't know. But again, maybe that's the thing about like reading a history book. It's different when you're actually like living it. But we have Isis here with the heart. Through her grief, excuse me, I'm going to say for the purposes of today, I don't know the chronology of Isis being Isis. Through her grief, through her own personal sort of like underworld energy, or through her own underworld experience, she learned, oh, the gateway of resurrection. Duh. She resurrected Osiris after he was killed and dismembered, and his body pieces were spread all over by Set. When it seemed like chaos had won, it spun the block a few times. Isis did her work in the back. Osiris came back. They have Horus. Horus takes care of things. So it could be that certain, and I guess we've seen that a little bit too. It could be that certain events, certain tragedies, certain Three of Swords misfortunes. I feel like when it comes to the Three of Swords, misfortune is a bit of a understatement. But it could be that certain things arouse or awaken things that sleep within us. And the will of life. And in this deck, it's the will of life. It's not the wheel of fortune. Destiny turning is with the Sphinx. And the Sphinx the Sphinx gives riddles. Because the Sphinx gives riddles, it's like the turning of destiny may not necessarily be what it appears to be on the surface, or it may not necessarily be what we thought it would be. So, if we are the ones behind the wheel turning, there's almost an energy of caution that things may not turn out the way that we planned or intended. If the wheel turned on us, meaning like we were on the wheel when it turned, then it may be like it may hold some kind of opportunity. And like as we see things turning and shifting, it's almost to like know that they don't necessarily have to play out in the way that it looks like they may be. Because not only is the magus here, but the crown of the magi is here. Oh, and we see a square between Aquarius and Scorpio, literally. The angel being Aquarius, the eagle being Scorpio. We also saw the eagle on the medicine wheel. It was the medicine wheel, the mystical shaman, and the standstill, or the stand still, the mystical shaman and the medicine wheel. But the eagle was prominent on that. Also, with this, because the mother is feeding her babies her blood, she like pierces her chest to feed the babies. And in the entry, it may have said that there is a bird that, like, if they can't find food for their young, then they will make that sacrifice. It is an energy of not just the old making way for the new, because the old gives of itself to nourish the new. And it's like a new world that's built upon the old one. So we can't necessarily expect a complete and total separation from what came before. Right. And even when Osiris was assembled, reassembled, and resurrected, they say, I've come across that he wasn't necessarily complete, that there was at least one piece that was missing. But the Magus and the crown of the Magus, the crown, because it's almost like anybody can act in the capacity of the Magus of the magician. The crown feels like some kind of endorsement, I would assume, from the divine. Cool. First, oh, I had an acrobat. There was an acrobat, but it didn't flip over. Okay. The Ivory Shield, Sanctum of the Immaculate, is the first intro into Libra season. And it's Sanctum of the Immaculate. So we have the Immaculate, and then we had the Herald of Purification. So again, basically at the end of that purification process, something is made immaculate. It's made clean. Now we can talk about immaculate conception. Oof. That just brought something to mind that is not necessarily the purpose of this. So I am glad to just let that stay floating. The thing about this Queen of Cups, I was going to say Queen of Swords and then Queen of Shields. The thing about this Queen of Cups is in the Vitruvian edition, she's my BTF USTF, you mind your business queen. She is the guardian of sacred spaces. But here, she appears with shield lowered and cup extended. Also, the Sailor Moon channel has been on TV, and I just saw, I feel like the same like 5 to 10 episodes I was sort of like seeing over the past few days as they've been running through Sailor Moon. But today, I think it's Sailor Moon R. I guess I saw an episode there for the first time, and there were people with these like crescent moons on heads. Now, I don't think they were necessarily the good guys, but that's not the point. That's just the show. She's presenting this cup. Now, in Sailor Moon, there is the Holy Grail, which is the combination of three sacred treasures. Three sacred treasures. Speaking of the Sanctum of Treasures, that spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, were associated with those outer three planets, with the ones that we can't see with the naked eye. Right? where the magic of the abyss serves to form these connections and bridges to the greater cosmos. But again, for this to be one of the first things that Libra season brings around is interesting. And because we saw that Page of Cups too, Herald of the Purifying was like the first one that came out. We just had the eclipse. Yeah. We had the eclipse and at that point, Mars could have already been in Scorpio. I'm pretty sure it had transited into Scorpio before the eclipse. I could be wrong. I'm curious what this is, though. I can dig into it after. All right, so Libra. Oh, girl, that was a slow. It wasn't necessarily a dirty flip. Oh, am I taking this? Sure. It wasn't necessarily a dirty flip. It was just like a slow flip. So I already got the first two cards. The third energy for Libra season. Interesting. This is a card that has been making its rounds that I've talked about. We have the Four of Cups, the Hierophant, and the Four of Wands. What's interesting is here again, if Libra is the scales, here again we see water and fire occupying the same rank within the tarot. Like we saw the Page of Wands with the Page of Cups. Now we have the Four of Wands with the Four of Cups. Oh, I think I like this. I think I like this. So, Moon in Cancer squaring Venus in Aries. And then we have Taurus in between with the Hierophant. The Hollow Void is the Four of Cups. The Hierophant is the Hierophant. And then the Demiurge is the Four of Wands. The Demiurge is what we've been seeing like crazy. But here's that Hollow Void here, which is giving, obviously, very low hanging fruit, the Abyss. But it's like it's only hollow if it is unclaimed. Unclaimed. That hollow void is what causes, what can cause. I guess you could read it a few different ways. I guess we do see the Three of Swords in the bereaved. We see a heart there, right? If the heart is kind of hollow, you can justify all kinds of unconscionable things that we at least said we'd never do again. But it's more so giving that in the abyss was an opportunity to build out. I can't help but think of it as even like with the solar system, I can't help but think of it as um, an atom, right? And when it comes to Sagittarius, give me strength. Every time I get a little, try to get a little sciencey. I don't know, because Sagittarius, they were coming out with all of the science for a hot minute when I was running through the zodiac. When it comes to atoms that emit light, like it's kind of unitized is the word that's coming to my mind. There are So the energy, first an atom absorbs energy, the electrons get excited, and then it releases energy, and the electrons go back to a resting state. The amount of energy that is released determines the color of the light photon that is released, or the photon, the energy is released as a photon, and maybe a certain amount of it is just like lost or converted to like thermal energy or something else. I don't know, girl. The color of that photon corresponds to the amount of energy that is basically released. And at least when I was learning about it, as far as I can recollect, there were specific amounts of energy. So it was like if you absorb two, it comes out as orange. If you absorb one, it comes out as red. If you absorb three, it comes out as yellow, and so on and so forth, right? And there wasn't like a 1.5. So it's not releasing this like reddish orange. It's either red or orange or yellow. Like, and that's what like discrete, unitized, whatever. So if you want to release green, blue, violet, whatever light, you have to have the capacity for an electron to A, absorb that much energy, and then B, sort of like release it all in one go. And as we build up like that outer shell and the completely optionalness of the abyss, as we build up that electron shell, it's like there's more space for the electrons to occupy. So it makes that green, blue, violet emission more possible, right? If that's like what, 4, 5, 6, but we only have enough space for a 1, 2 or a 1, 2, 3, you're not gonna like you're not gonna get green, blue, violet out of a red, orange, yellow limit. And we saw red, orange, yellow in the standstill. Last time we saw the standstill, I didn't mention it earlier. It came to my mind. I didn't see the point necessarily. Last time we saw the standstill, it came out with the rainbow. And the thing about the rainbow is that there are multiple colors. But we did see the standstill with the medicine wheel. And there was that energy again of sitting in the standstill long enough for a treatment to take, for the medicine to take, to build up an effective level within the body to combat whatever, right? It may not necessarily be a one dose, one sitting, one setting situation. I can feel the vibrations. Can you hear that? I can feel it from in here. Uh yeah. And so yeah, basically, so as we build out our solar system, now it's like our orbit is wide enough that it gives us contact with things that are further out. So for example, let's say you can do like pessimism and optimism, right? If someone is more pessimistic leaning or even more realistic, super logical, grounded in what has already been and immediate capabilities, then there are some like far out ideas that they're just not going to pick up on. Or there could be further applications for things that already exist that they would just like never see because their view is that limited. So it's almost like even if they were directly exposed to like certain information or a certain idea, or they sit in a position where things come to them, they could be limited in scope enough to not even see without it already being a thing successfully. They may not see they may not see it, right? So they won't choose it, they won't pick it up, they won't do whatever, they'll just let it keep floating by. But it is the optimist, it is the open-minded, the expansive, excuse me, that's like even open enough to those ideas to give it a try and to see if it'll work, right? And that's kind of sort of like this whole larger context of it all. And maybe that's the immaculate, or maybe that's related to the energy of whatever the sanctum of the immaculate is present, like an idea is presented to someone because they will actually do something with it rather than going, oh, like that sounds like it's for the future, that's not reasonable, it's not feasible, there's not a market, no one's interested, blah 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 blah, blah whatever. Now the hierophant in this deck is a good hierophant, also a bodhisattva, also where we had the cube here in an almost dormant state in this square between Uranus, between Aquarius and Scorpio. It's almost like active. It's like that's an active Mercabic. I was trying to think of the word. That's like an active Mercabic transfiguration or configuration. That's an active Mercabic configuration that emits light. That's a dormant cube configuration that doesn't. Right. So it actually, with the demiurge, it actually gives someone some power over their own reality with this Four of Wands. Or where there's a hollow void in the Four of Cups, there's the sun at the center that keeps all of this in alignment for one and nourished with plenty of light for two, where it thrives. The thing about the Hierophant is the Hierophant sits between, right? Also, the tagline here is Master of the Arcanes. Oh, they're even like positioned like the standstill. I already put all the cards away. I mean, the standstill is shot from the back, so we only see the silhouette of the person. But here we have an extra pair of arms. Now, in the destroyer, we know that those extra arms are of the spirit. But there are three pairs of arms in the destroyer and only two here in the hollow void. Is there an extra pair? Or are these four arms from the spirit? This is the spirit standing receptive. And oh, look, again, the hand presenting the cup from the sanctum of the immaculate, maybe. I don't know. Maybe those are the forearms of the spirit, as the spirit is probably very active. I feel like almost everyone, especially in the US, but all over the world, almost everyone's spirit is active in one way or another. It seems like a lot of sort of like dormancy has kind of sort of gone, and spirit in terms of like one's internal whatever, not necessarily um you know, the Hierophant bridges these from the spiritual to the physical, and that complete physical spiritual connection is what leads to this Four of Wands energy. And again, with the Sphinx destiny turning, this would be someone who, in a certain number of words, takes their destiny into their own hands, because it's, again, it's the demiurge. It's someone who's the creator of their own reality. And we saw the crown of the Magi. again, like um, recognized. I don't think recognized is the word I was necessarily looking for, but recognized by the divine. And again, it's a gift from, and it's one that's typically withheld, but now it's being presented. So that could play out in any number of ways. Like, let's say that there was something that you were trying to make happen in your life, but for some reason it seemed like it was challenge after challenge, obstacle after obstacle, redirection after redirection. Maybe you didn't think it would happen, but now maybe there's been enough of whatever there needed to be, because again the three of swords is here. Maybe you've resurrected whatever within you that needed to be resurrected or has been resurrected within you. And again, we do see the gateway of resurrection in addition to that three of swords energy, um where it's like now it makes sense, and so maybe it's happening now, or it will happen in this Libra season, but the hollow void and the hierophant are still here. So I'm gonna pull before and after the messenger question mark of the earth. Basically the page of pentacles, but it's different. The names are different. The awakening, bottom of the deck, hollowed flame, ace of scepters. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. There's four wands here. Scarlet shield and the haunts. I don't think I've seen any of the pages yet. Herald of the Waters, no. Herald of the Earth. Oh, what? Interesting. Okay. So the Herald of the Earth is in between the demon battling the Typhon and the Five of Pentacles, the Vagabond. Almost literally between a rock and a hard place. But outside of that, we have the wish granted with the chariot, Nine of Cups, and the chariot on one side, and the Archangel of Mysteries and the Initiate and the Seeker on the other. And again, with the Hollow Void, or yeah, yes, with the Hollow Void, also with however we respond or react to that destiny turning Three of Swords energy. It's a portend. Something in Virgo season portends the future. More so in the way we reacted slash react to it happening, more so than the thing itself happening. Like, it doesn't matter that someone spilled a glass of milk. What matters is, okay, is someone going to clean it up, or is the milk going to spoil? And then is that going to unleash a flood of like mold? I don't know, in a house where it's like, well, if someone would have cleaned up the milk, you know, there's this huge problem that could have been avoided, but we just left the spilled milk spilled. Again, it's not the thing itself that portends anything, it's the reaction and the response to the thing, because that it doesn't necessarily dictate, but it is an indicator of how things will proceed in similar enough situations, right? If nothing is done, if the milk remains spilled, then the cat's just going to keep knocking over glass after glass after glass after glass and think like, oh, like it's okay. Like, you can just spill milk and no one cleans it up. This is like so fun. Oh my gosh. But if you clean that up, it's like, well, if coffee is spilled, you'll clean that up. If water is spilled, you'll clean that up. Maybe you'll get to a point where you're so sick and tired of cleaning up milk that you'll come up with a better situation where milk doesn't get spilled in the first place. You know what I mean? Sorry. I'm sorry. Let me just like for a second. Also, Virgo season could have been an opportunity to see the truth of certain things, right? Maybe something in Virgo season happened that really like illuminated the truth of something in a way that's not like maybe it could have been explained away poorly or excellently. Maybe it could have been explained away in the past. Maybe we were just so caught up, wrapped up in whatever. Again, whatever happened to turn destiny, it's almost like as the wheel moved, everyone was like, everyone like felt that movement. Or a lot of people felt that movement, regardless of where anyone is standing and what that movement sort of felt like, what that shifting of the wheel felt like. Right. And again, one of the first things of Libra season is the sanctum of the immaculate. Should we define that word? Sure. Google will do it. Hey Google, define immaculate, please. You gonna read it? It didn't read it. Immaculate, especially of a person or their clothes, perfectly clean, neat, or tidy. That's it. That's it. That's the only definition you got for me. Hello. Not even like two immaculates. Free from flaws or mistakes, perfect. In theology, free from sin. Macula. And that's something different. That's fine. Not stained. Cool. And that in and of, I mean, I guess it's funny. Yeah, one of the first things of Libra season is the sanctum of the immaculate, and then like what the rapture was supposed to happen, where all of the immaculate folks were supposed to, I guess, rise into the air and depart this foul planet, and those who remained on it. But you know, of course, it didn't. And then we have the Hierophant here, which is interesting. The wish granted and the Archangel of Mysteries. What an interesting combination. Cool. I guess it's that. I don't think I saw this one yet. Herald of the Winds, Herald of the Flame. The Herald of the Flame is in between the Herald of the Winds and the Shining Quarry. Now we've seen all 4 pages. Herald of the Winds is Ventures of the Dauntless, and the Shining Quarry, Knight of Pentacles, is Caverns of the Gnome. After the Shining Quarry is the Magus again. This time, divine powers of the mortal spirit rather than divinity of man, powers of spirit. Before the Herald of the Winds was the Rogue, Seven of Swords. This is for the Herald that came out with the Necromancer. Ventures of the Dauntless and Caverns of the Gnome. Caverns of the Gnome is interesting. I think I have the Vitruvian Book of Maps. Not the Vitruvian. I think I have the Revelations Book of Maps. It may be on my iPad. I might not have it, actually. If I don't have it, then it's fine. I just won't. I just won't look. We'll just even. I'm trying to see what it is about the gnome in particular. That's where my interest lies, if you're curious. Nope. I don't think I realized I had all these in here. Oh, I might have forgot about it. Oh, I think that's because I was using my desktop before. I was like, these are all the files. All the files are on my computer. What? I didn't think I had these. I built them on my laptop, but I was using my desktop when I was at my home place. That's why. I guess, especially when it came to the page of Pentacles, Stronghold of the Veil, Herald of the Earth, that felt like it was connected to something in the future. Probably, maybe Libra season, from Virgo season. With this other one, I'm not sure. Caverns of the Gnome, that Knight of Pentacles energy, I think I did see the worm lately. It's giving me worm energy, where it's like digging through the earth, it's aerating the soil, it's turning things over beneath the surface that helps things grow above the surface. But then I'm not gonna, I say I'm not, but here I go. I guess we're gonna continue this chain and train. Oop. It's so funny that there's something that, but oh wait, who was that? Yeah, no, it wasn't who I was looking for. Okay. Now I'm looking for the stronghold of the Zephyrs. There it is. The Chancellor Justice and the Giver Moon. And oh, look, there's the wish granted again. Nine of Cups right outside the window. The Five of Swords, the Hector. Five of Swords, Nine of Cups. So before and after, the stronghold of the Zephyrs is the Chancellor, Angel of Justice, and the Six of Orbs, Moon and Taurus. Which again, it feels like it's speaking to the energy of portends, but how a reaction or action portends something in the future, especially with the Angel of Justice. So maybe this is a little bit of an interplay between past and present energies. And it could be an interplay. It's like a game of ping pong, but every time it goes back. It's like it goes back even further. So it's almost a pattern. Or it could be because, again, there was with the Four of Wands, there was an energy of like maybe it's something that we tried to make a move on in the past, but we encountered multiple like obstacles. Maybe it's like every time something in that game of ping pong in the back and forth, it's like every time it comes back to like hit a different area of life or to go even deeper, it's constantly and consistently met with enough opposition to have it like move back forward. And so it's almost like this at least begins, especially with the angel of justice. It's like the beginning of a karmic payout. It's like over the course of maybe 6 years because it's the Six of Pentacles, which would take us back to 2019. Um, or whatever. Obviously, it doesn't have to be 6 years. But it's like now things are sort of coming full circle, or now things are going to work. And again, every reason, every opposition, anything that could be brought up or spoken of has been addressed and taken care of. So we just need to stand firm in the work that we've done. Right. If we are approached and deemed to be immaculate enough, then who are we to stand in the way of receiving our own blessings? Human. That's who we are. Cool. And again, with that aeration energy, it's like the soil has been prepared for a very long time. The foundation is solid, the soil is rich and full of nutrients, ready to feed new life. In many ways, it's like the spirit, because again, we've seen the mages in both powers of the spirit. It's like in many ways, the spirit is catching up to the body is merging with the spirit. So if the spirit has been fed and we're well nourished, then when it catches up with the body, it's going to be strong. If the spirit has been neglected, then when it catches up with the body, it could have a like draining sort of effect because it pulls from the body all of the things that it didn't get while we were to be sort of like nourishing the spirit. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And that's what could lead to this further energy. Cool. All right. Take it as it resonates or don't. I think that's that. An hour. Okay. It wasn't terrible. Now we're going to get final cards. Oh, I'm going to mix these up. He had a plan to shake things up. And guess what? Should Hercules fight, you will fail. And he did. Hercules fought. Hercules became a true hero. And it's kind of ironic that in Disney's Hercules, Hercules became like Hades himself basically made Hercules into a hero with all the trials and tribulations that he put him through. And he wasn't a true hero until basically the very last moment when Hades thought that he had finally outsmarted whatever. And even when he thought he won, he still lost. And again, it's like a precedent has been set. That's another thing. Um, our response to it's almost like we could show up in the ways that we showed up whenever destiny started to turn, to pretend whatever is going to start playing out potentially in Libra season. Like we were able to show up in those ways because of all of the challenges and stuff, right? That's why we are gifted something by the sanctum of the Immaculate now. And it's not to be perfect, but it's to, you could say it's to have learned what we needed to learn over these past few years or over the past whatever to enable us, prepare us for, excuse me, receiving whatever and preparing us to move with the will as destiny turns. To be maguses crowned by the divine. I almost want to say crowned king maguses. All right. I'll timestamp it. Why not? Why not? I already started. Final cards 137. This actually worked out, and it doesn't seem like the quality is too bad. Maybe I'll just have to start streaming from my phone. Fards. I was gonna put fards. Final fards. Hello. I should have kept it. I'm the type of person every now and then. I don't know. I just don't like if my phone autocorrects or doesn't autocorrect. Sometimes, every now and then, I'm the type of person to just send it anyway and just hope that the person can figure it out. Look, there's Rainbow. The rainbow that we did see with Taming the Wind last time, or not Taming the Wind, the rainbow that we saw with Standstill last time. And again, there's the green, blue, indigo, violet. There's Taming the Wind. I literally just saw a reel. Someone was talking about when Pocahontas was talking about painting with all the colors of the wind. Taming the Wind and the rainbow. Cool. And it's almost like as those winds blow through, so the portal of the standstill is only open while that space is occupied. So it's like as we stand still and occupy that space, the wind blows the colors through that portal that gives us pigments on our palette for us to paint in the colors of. And if we only have those red, oranges, and yellows, then maybe we're really good at painting sunrises and we're good at painting sunsets. But all of sort of like the life in between, it's like the colors don't translate. So it's almost like it rises and sets and rises and sets and rises and sets, and it's never really like occupying the sky long enough for things to grow. And again, maybe for a season, there wouldn't have been enough support nutritionally, like in a nutrient sort of type of way with the soil to support life. But it's like with every failed attempt, there was even more put into the soil. And every time we had to like pull something out and retill the ground, it's like we were correcting, fixing the soil every time. Or not, right? If it resonates for you, then yes, you were tilling the soil and like rotating your crops enough to get all the different nutrients that is needed for now things to like really bloom and take off. And the angel of justice is there, like, you know, the six of pentacles was there. Many paths in water. Cool. Many paths in water is giving the energy of irrigation. So maybe the land had to be irrigated because it wasn't raining enough. But there's a steady source in the river or whatever. All right, final card. Mystical Shaman Oracle cards, please. I'll give it two more. If nothing comes out, I will move on. That was it. We're moving on. We'll put the Vitruvian. Last one's first. Archangel of Mysteries and the Herald of the Winds, Ventures of the Dauntless, Angel who illuminates the shadow. And again, I feel like that's just like if we have bravely, boldly explored all of the underworld that we've needed to, then we may find ourselves in a position of power rather than a position of disadvantage as we tackle all of the changes that are happening in the world around us with the turning of the wheel, destiny turning, right? So, like, imagine again, because if we're not in control of the wheel when it turns, like, we've been in the rodeo doing our rotations for years, and now that somebody want to slap the bull, like they think we're gonna get backed off, and it's like, no, girl, we're professionals. Hello. Now you just gonna make the bull mad where it's charging you, and I'm gonna be riding the bull as it's doing its thing. It ain't me driving nothing, girl. You ain't got the bull, you get the horns. You thought you was throwing me off. This ain't my first rodeo. If you knew, you should know. And now you done hurt yourself. And I'm just sitting in the vehicle that is doing whatever. Anyway, let me stop. All right. But like that, if this resonates for you, that's the energy for you. Whoa. Oh, interesting. First, we had the erudite, which is Virgo. The hermit. Hermit of the mysteries. Did we not just see the Archangel of Mysteries with whatever card we saw her with? I don't remember. But we did just see the Archangel of Mysteries. Next, the Giver and the Defector both came out. This is Moon in Taurus, sextile, Saturn in Pisces. Bottom of the deck is Capricorn battling the Typhon. Devil energy. This is so like again the hermit of the mysteries the erudite speaks to. Lux ex tenebris, light from darkness. What we've already gained from the things that we've overcome. Right? Ace of Wands, the awakening, staff, got a bird on it. She's giving. Is it Dumbledore? She's definitely giving Ida the Owl Lady with Albert. I think that's his name. I don't know if Dumbledore. I feel like his phoenix like rested on his wand at some point. Maybe not. But it's like the top of the wand is like a living thing. So it's almost like if on a ship, how they have like a being carved in the front sometimes, if that was like an actual living thing on the vessel. I don't it does something. The lessons have been learned, right? This Saturn and Pisces, Moon and Taurus energy is so interesting, especially because we saw, I guess, Jupiter and Pisces, the Nine of Cups, in both decks. The wish granted. We see the Six of Pentacles again. There was something here. I kind of lost it. The sentiment of it is it doesn't matter at this point what challenges we are faced with because we've already overcome so much. It doesn't matter what is thrown your way because you know what you know, you've seen what you've seen, and you've grown, evolved, changed, healed as necessary. And again, the thing about the Immaculate is not perfection, but it has accomplished what it's needed to. And so this is moving from things that don't work, things that wouldn't provide fulfillment, things that have no land legs. Because the mermaid is here, but unless you live in the water, it don't necessarily make sense between Ariel and Eric. And the earth element is important because, like Saturn and Pisces, kind of sort of in the vein of the energy earlier of like what is realistic, what can actually happen. It's like this is a Saturn and Pisces energy of like the realm of Pisces that meets reality enough where it's like things can actually work. This isn't the immaterial, illusory side of Piscean energy. You can say it's the side of revelations. LOL. And it's moving towards having those things fulfilled. And with Moon and Taurus, again, with Taurus being that like earthy element, it's not about what already is and what has already been. It's about what could be. That's like the moon that's here. Again, the side of the Piscean dream that's closer to reality than it is illusion. And so it walks away from a lot of things, especially things where you already learned the lesson, towards things of actual fulfillment. Cool. And with devil energy, I say leave devil energy to the demons. Right? Whatever happens, happens. If your gut intuition path journey is pulling you out of it, trust it. Trust it. Go. Don't look back. All right. Vitruvian edition. What say thee? Oh, okay. The Dynasty. Oh, it's 2 cards. I only saw 1. Ooh, girl. 10-20. Bottom of the deck is the Hierophant, but this is like the Vitruvian Hierophant, the Holy See. Bottom of the deck is the Holy See. And the Holy See and the Hierophant are 2 different energies. The Hierophant stands in that position and is about that life. The Holy See stands in that position and is about the earthly things, money, power, control, stuff like that. Dynasty and Apocalypse is an interesting combo. Maybe that's why in the other deck, when it came to like that devil energy that was on the bottom of the deck, the person was like, Hermit, been there, done that. I see what I see, and I don't want no more. Let me do my defector thing and go to where things are reciprocal and aligned with that Six of Pentacles energy. Because whatever this is, and it's not even like the Tower, it's the energy of Apocalypse, which is the Last Judgment, but still, in this deck, it's called Apocalypse. I don't know. Maybe Hierophant energy's been getting away with it for long enough where they're like, you know what? The divine isn't actually like showing up. The divine isn't moving. The divine ain't doing nothing. So I can stand up here and I can say whatever I want to say. And folks will believe me. And, you know, until things start to shift and move and something else. But best believe when it comes time to collect, somebody coming to collect. The ancient ones and the seer of the ancient ones. Interesting. All right. Are we ready? Oh, I guess we are. Bottom of the deck is the curse. Number 14, the card that came out is the Smoky Mirror. 1447. Under the curse is the blade. The blade of this is crazy. This is a crazy combination. It's almost like a blade is to the throat. If you speak, I'll slit your neck. But completion is under the blade. And this is 6 and 9, right? So it's like when whatever hadn't run its course, the blade was to the neck of the, the curse. Whatever couldn't be spoken. But now that things are complete, I don't know. I don't know if somebody will be able to speak. But we have the smoky mirror here. Smoky mirror feels like it's almost like maybe my camera lens. If a camera lens is like smudged, it's almost like this it's an energy that's like knowing that something is imperfect. That's not necessarily the word I want to use, but it's the word I'm going to use. Meaning, like the mirror is a funhouse mirror, or the camera lens is kind of blurry, but it's like intentionally using that to make something appear to be what it is not. And it's like if you blur an image enough, a lot of people could be mistaken for other people, right? People I don't know. It's like if someone's like, "Oh, well, people say I look like Beyonce," and you're like, "From 1,000 miles away, maybe I can see it. I can't see you at all, but yeah, if you blur the camera from this angle and you wear whatever, the blurry images will vaguely form a shape that looks like it could be a shape that Beyonce could look like, or it's like." I don't know if someone's like catfishing with Funhouse Mirror, whatever. It's easy. It's low hanging fruit. That's what it is, right? So if like someone is bigger or heavier set, but all of the pictures that they take are in this Funhouse Mirror that like slims them out. Again, it was not great, low hanging fruit, but it's like that, especially while the curse is at the bottom of the deck. While nothing can be said otherwise, and this is that energy, this is like the Five of Pentacles and that devil energy. That's also like apocalypse happening for the dynasty with that old Hierophant, the Holy Sea energy. When nothing else could be said, when things couldn't be revealed because the blade was at someone's throat, it's almost like there was nothing to combat the image. It's almost like being like, oh, I've never seen Batman and Patrick in the same room. But imagine someone like shoved me in a closet. Every time Batman popped up. And it's like, girl, it's not because I'm secretly Batman. It's because they put me in a closet and they locked the door and it was soundproof type energy. The thing about the smoke, again, it reads as intentional. It's because of what isn't said or because of what hasn't been said. It's because of who hasn't necessarily been seen to move above ground in the obvious right? Because with the earthworm energy, a lot of it is subterranean, a lot of it is underground, a lot of it is like base, foundational, behind the scenes, not necessarily in front of the camera. So we wouldn't necessarily know unless we know, right? Oh, but now apparently the truth is coming out. Potentially, that's what the cards say. And with, especially because we saw the giver the Six of Pentacles in both decks, with the Sanctum of the Immaculate, it's like even when things remained silent, even if things couldn't be communicated verbally, they could still be communicated. And whether we chose to ignore certain truths, whether we were incapable, incapable sounds a bit extreme because I don't necessarily think the divine will hold us responsible for things that we have no way of knowing. But if we choose to be ignorant because we refuse to acknowledge or see the things that our intuition, discernment, conversation with the divine is leading us to see, that's something completely different. I didn't see it because I didn't want to is completely different than, yeah, like I wasn't at work that day and the announcement was posted up on this board at work. So I didn't see it. Like at my last job, it wasn't like I was salaried, but there were like the people who did schedules and stuff. If someone was assigned for a shift, it was like it's everyone's responsibility to check the shift schedule board before you leave, right? But if you're not at work that day, therefore, like you can't see the thing. And if you're scheduled, then it's like they can't hold you responsible because you weren't there. The limit of their ability to enforce responsibility upon you and your free will is if you're here, you have to look before you leave. And if you don't check it in your schedule and you miss it, that's on you. But if you're not here, it's unavoidable. It's like that energy, right? But anyway, there are other ways that things could be communicated. And that's how we like move or had the opportunity to still move, even if things didn't necessarily play out in this way or that way. Cool. And again, Virgo season is over. So maybe the mirror was being cleaned, the lens was being wiped. Maybe that was part of the purification of Virgo season. I feel like there's almost something else I want to pull, but let's see. I'll leave it up to Google. Hey, Google, flip a coin. Heads. Tails was I pull another card. All right. So that's whatever this is. Basically, um, it seems like, which is funny because in one of the last lines, I don't think it was necessarily Virgo season, but in a previous one in this deck, the Gatherer came out with completion. And because of the numbers, it was like eight something, nine something that roughly corresponded to Virgo season. And so it was like, well, Libra season is the beginning of fall. It's technically the beginning of the season where harvests start to like happen, right? But if the gathering is already completed, what's left is like people picking over scraps, whatever hasn't been claimed up until that point. It's just like up for grabs. Um, but anyway, it feels like it's a time and a season, especially with Libra being like justice and like balance and stuff like that, where the other side of the scale will be met. And the thing about earth, the element of earth, is that when we tend to earthly matters, we do so for the long game. We do so with an inherent understanding that if we water a seed today, it's not necessarily going to sprout tomorrow and be ready to harvest the day after. We know that with the element of earth, what we do for the future and with like care and intention. And maybe that's another thing with that like earthworm, Knight of Pentacles energy, like tending to things over a period of time. Maybe it's heavy enough to grow fruit now, especially, and it's almost like to have when it's like it's to have when getting may become difficult. To like already have it is to like be good. You know what I mean? Anyway. Anyway. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're all acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Because that way, I feel like, if you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, eventually it's gonna happen. Even if it's not necessarily immediate. There are some things that are more immediate than others. There are some plants that grow incredibly quickly and you can plant and harvest in the same season, especially in certain environments, in certain climates, with certain pH, soil, and whatever. Speaking of gas underwater, there's like the diffusion of gases under there, like nitrogen. You have your nitrogen fixation cycles. Um, there are some things that can happen a lot more immediately, but again, there is almost, we did see devil energy like twice. There is almost like maybe there would have been a temptation in the past to walk away from something because it wasn't immediate enough, or to switch allegiances because we thought we would benefit more in one thing versus the other. But when smoky mirrors are cleaned and things are brought to clarity, and I don't know, hopefully we stuck with whatever. And even if we didn't, maybe there will be opportunities in the future. Maybe that is the thing, the life experience. Maybe that's the life experience that teaches us to stick with what our discernment and intuition and the divine is telling us to stick with. Maybe we didn't get the memo or the message from some other reading or person or story piece of media. There are some things that life is a much better teacher of and for. And maybe it'll just be a learning moment for us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the world, especially if, the fulfillment of certain things and things coming full circle doesn't warrant an apocalypse type energy. That is, girl, beyond a tower, right? Then we can always learn in the future. As long as we, yeah. Anyway, all right. I'll see y'all later. I did that. I don't necessarily have anything in mind to pull. Like in the future. I don't think there's anything on like the back of my mind. Not at this point. I was, so the deck that I was waiting for, I think I talked about it. about how I need to stop getting stuff off of Instagram, or I need to do a better job at like sussing out the sites that are linked to Instagram because the deck that I ordered is not the deck that I received. And that was my okay, I really need to chill on Instagram type moment, or I need to be a lot more discerning on Instagram moment. Um, because expectation did not meet reality at all. And when I thought about because first I had the idea of what to pull around, and then I knew that the deck was coming. So what I thought I was going to get, I had tailored the idea to fit that. But at this point in time, I don't see the point or purpose in it necessarily. So yeah, I don't know. All right, I'll see you when I see you. You'll see me when you see me, and who knows when that